Prepare to be as shocked as I was when I found out that this game has a story. Mario and Sonic head to the Olympic Games only to be tricked by Bowser and Eggman. Eggman uses an old video game to pull Mario and Sonic into a 2D world where they will be trapped forever. It's just too bad that both Eggman and Bowser foul up the plan and also trap themselves in the system. Eggman has rigged the game so that only acquiring gold medals will release them back into the real world. Mario and Sonic have to compete against Bowser and Eggman and earn the most medals so they can be released from this 2D world. Get ready to read a good amount of text. Mario and Sonic is a visual novel with a lot to say and not much voice work to be heard. Mario and Luigi don't speak, but the rest of the cast keeps the story moving by saying cheesy lines. Don't expect anything riveting here in terms of story or banter if you're an adult. This one is clearly for the kids. The game juggles between the 1964 Olympics and the 2020 Olympics. The characters will face off against each other in events and unlock more characters and minigames as they proceed. There is a large map for both the 1964 and 2020 worlds that the player can explore, and each area has its share of Toads and Koopas to speak with to learn more about the Olympics. Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Games looks great. The characters are nicely animated and each world has a distinct cartoonish look. The 2D era has crisp, nostalgic sprites that captures the feel of both the Mario and Sonic series. The 3D era is like a cartoon come to life. It shows some crisp colors, a plethora of detailed animations for each event, and outstanding venues. Much like the Olympics, Mario and Sonic has a buttload of competitions to compete in. They can range from button smashers like the 100-meter dash, or require more complex inputs like the gymnastics event. There are 24 events on the 2020 side and 12 on the 1964 side. And that's not mentioning the mini-games that can be unlocked in the story mode. Most of the competitions have 3 different ways to play: dual remote, single, or gamepad. Dual remote is the most interactive way to play a majority of the minigames. If you want to feel like you're cocking back and throwing a discus or pulling the string back on a bow, dual remote is the way to go. I'm not saying that it's all perfect with the dual controller. For example, speed climbing feels like a bit of a chore with the dual controller when compared to using the gamepad. A few of the minigames can feel more like a novelty than fun. You also need a lot more room when you play with the dual remote. Any event that requires any complex movement will require at least 3 to 4 feet of space around the player. The single remote games are the simplest and often the most fun to play. Surfing, canoeing, badminton, table tennis, and fencing are some of the best ways to play for this very reason. We can lean back in our chairs and play these events without a lot of room around us. The gamepad is the easiest of all the modes and the only way to play the 1964 and most of the Dream events. The gamepad usually requires precise button taps, rapid presses, or analog rotation for the events that are mostly on rails. However, it's the best way to play any event that requires precise input, such as rugby sevens, skateboarding, surfing, or dream shooting. It can also take away a lot of the fun from the other minigames because the gamepad trivializes the learning curve. So we've learned there are a buttload of events, but are they any fun at all? I'd say that a majority of them are a blast to play depending on the control scheme. If an event is too complex when using the dual remote, it's usually more frustrating than interesting. The single remote, on the other hand, is boring when it's not an event specifically dedicated to one-handed movement. The gamepad is the least fun way to play at least 90% of the events because it's a little too easy. It's only any fun when playing modes that are gamepad only. It's hard to rate party games when you play them solo. In reality, I could play this game for about 30 minutes to an hour at a time before I got bored. I'm sure the game is more interesting when playing with a room full of people like most party games. If you're really into minigames, there are some fun ones, but that story mode won't compel you to push forward. The story mode makes good use of historical facts about Tokyo and the Olympics while unlocking interesting mini-games. Outside of that, it's just a fetch quest that requires you to compete against popular characters in the franchises to win gold medals. The motion controls can be fun, but it's not going to change your life like Wii Fit or Dance Central. Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Games 2020 is a fun little game that pays homage to the Olympics, but it's not breaking any barriers in the motion gameplay department. Party up with some friends and try not to accidentally punch each other in the face.